fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Grimlock from the Transformers Earthspark line from Hasbro. Now this is our second to last Deluxe release, at least for this first wave. I don't know if there's going to be a second wave or not. We've seen some leaks and things, so it is possible there might be a second wave. But this will finish out our Build-A-Figure of Dr. Meridian Mandroid after the first wave. And so we have Grimlock here, still waiting on Nightshade. If we spin around to the back here, we can see Nightshade is the last one. And of course, she comes with the torso for Dr. Meridian Mandroid. So we still just have a giant pile of pieces. And maybe one day they'll actually form into a person. But nice artwork of the Dino mode here for Grimlock on the front. Have that kind of standard Earthspark artwork here on the side. Over here we have a picture of the Build-A-Figure. Not really much going on the bottom. On the top, again, just kind of that standard picture. And then again on the back we have product shots of the Dino mode and the Robot mode. Hoping it will be better than Cyberverse Grimlock, as that Deluxe was kind of a mess. So let's go ahead, let's get this one out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. Here is Grimlock out of the packaging. I think he looks pretty great. Right away you get that kind of, bruiser vibe. He looks very bulky in all the right areas. I think that works really well. Very classic Grimlock design. You have the wings on the back here with the T-Rex head. The arms are going to become the legs, so it's very traditional for Grimlock's design and transformation. But I think it's a fun, stylized version, and it looks pretty good. Red paint here on the legs looks great. Now, you can see that the feet are not symmetrical, and that has to do with the transformation. One side becomes the top, one side becomes the bottom of the Dino mode. So I still kind of wish they had just done these symmetrically just for the Robot mode. Not a big deal, but I would have rather had a few extra spikes on the one side of the Dino mode so that they're symmetrical, and I just think that's a weird choice. But again, not a deal breaker by any means. Head sculpt looks pretty good. Very simple, but I like it quite a bit. Nice blue paint there for the visor, and nice black paint there for the rest of the head. Little Autobot symbol here on the chest, and a little bit of red above that. I personally would have liked a little bit larger Autobot symbol, but again, not a deal breaker. Overall, on the back, I think we're going to see some more paint for the Dino mode, but you can kind of see it here in the Robot mode as well. Legs are a little hollow, not that big a deal. It does have some of the tail components in there, so it's not completely hollow. And he does have really nice heels, so he doesn't really have trouble standing, which is nice. But yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty solid Robot mode. Getting into articulation, the head's on a ball joint, so you can kind of tilt it so that he can look up fairly decently. You can kind of see that the ball joint is actually here at the base of the head and not down at the base of the neck. So it can look up pretty decently, look down slightly, certainly turn side to side, no problem. Don't really have a ton of tilt side to side, but overall, nice amount of articulation there. You have a ball joint here in the shoulder, so you can go really about out that far. You kind of go in, certainly spin around. Get a little bit of kind of a butterfly joint just because it's a ball joint there. Ball joint here in the elbow, I would say not quite 90, maybe 70, 75 degrees out of that. But you can turn side to side on that ball joint as well. Nothing in the wrist because of how it transforms. Waist swivel, as you can see there. Ball joint here in the hips. Now the hips can pop off a little bit, not terribly. They're a little loose on mine, but not terribly. But you can see really nice range of motion, kick all the way forward and back out to the side. Thigh swivel there. Not quite 90 at the knees, but pretty close. And then, of course, you have a lot of ankle tilt, and you have a little bit of up and down, too, because these kind of come all the way out for the transformation. So then they kind of tuck back in. So you got a lot of range of motion there in the ankles. But yeah, he looks cool. I like him. The backpack here, like this, doesn't really click into place from what I can tell. Like the backpack kind of clicks in, but then this last step really doesn't. So it just kind of lays there. But yeah, overall, I like his design. Accessory-wise, he comes with this blaster, which is done in the same color as his chest with a little bit of red paint there. And that just pegs into his hand pretty simply. Kind of wish he came with a sword as well, but instead, we get this guy's leg. So, again, just another dismembered body part to add to the pile. I don't know why they didn't give us the torso earlier. I would have liked to have built him so that I could have most of the guys standing around. Maybe he's missing a leg, maybe he's missing an arm. But instead, the actual 100% key component, I guess to make sure you buy all the way until the end. I don't know. But anyway, here's a leg. It has a thigh swivel, and that is all. and there's not much else I can do with it right now. So off to the side it goes. But yeah, I think he's cool. I like him a lot. But where I think he definitely shines over the Cyberverse version is in the transformation. So let's go ahead and get into it. So very much like the Cyberverse version, he's going to spin at the waist, and one leg is going to become the back, and one is going to become the underbelly. But it's definitely a lot easier and more structurally sound than the Cyberverse version. So let's get into it. So we're going to come to the back here, and we are going to flip down this section, and then this will also flip out so you can kind of accordion all of this stuff out here to the side. Now, they tell you to go ahead and start assembling this together now. I kind of just loosely tab it in like this for now because they want you to kind of bring it around. And you can, but you're going to have to kind of pop it open later. So I guess we'll just pop it up there for now, but we will have to do some maintenance on that in a bit. Move the arms out of the way. Just kind of straighten them out. Now we're going to do the same as the Cyberverse version, and we're going to rotate this to the side. Then we are going to come around here and flip open the shin pieces, and that'll let you kind of bring down the tail pieces here from the back. You also want to turn these in towards each other, and then we'll kind of straighten this out and pull this section down. I believe I have done this backwards. I'm sorry. You're going to turn it like this because this section has to be the top. You can tell because it has the tabs here, and they are going to tab in. No, you know what? I was right. I did it right the first time. I'm confusing myself. The tabs that are on the inside of the wings are going to tab in here like this. So now that we have this like so, we are going to spin this part around, just the gray piece that's on this giant pin here. This is going to come around and again straighten out these tail pieces, and then this section is going to spin around as well, and then you're going to join the two tail pieces together like that. So that starts your tail there, and then you're going to bring these pieces around and spin these around. And so what I like to do is start with the bottom, because you want to bring this in. You have to kind of open this up and open these up again. These arms are always in the way. So you can see these little spots right here and right here, and that's what these tabs are going to go into. So this is going to come up and hide the robot head. And then you kind of have to bring this back in and make sure that these kind of fit in those spots. And then all of that will click together. And then you want to push up the dino head so that that kind of tabs into place. It's not much of a push-up, but, and we'll get to the jaws in a minute. I think it's so weird. But anyway, so that's pushed up. This is clipped in. There is a tab on the side of the dino head that tabs in here, and then the tab on the feet tabs in down here. So once you have that all tabbed in and pushed in, it's pretty secure, and that's really not going anywhere. So that's nice and solid. Then we're going to come around to the top and bring this down, and then this is going to just kind of sit over top. You can see that there's a tab right there, and that is going to tab in, I think it's up here. Where's the tab? Maybe it's right there. But you just kind of bring this in, and it'll kind of naturally find where it's supposed to go. It's going to kind of sit like that. So then this comes in. These all tab together. Just kind of sandwich this all together here. And that will kind of fit there. And then we're basically done. We're going to just straighten out the arms by rotating these in 90 degrees. And then we're going to fold the feet. And they'll kind of become the feet. The hands. The hands will become the back part of the feet. And then we just flip this down and flip this back. And there we go. We have our little T-Rex mode for Grimlock. Let me adjust the camera here. So I think he looks really, really cool. I mean, the red spikes all down the back and the tail look really good. Like I said, I guess the reason they couldn't have put them in there, now that I really think about it, they would not be able to close down because of the way this sinks in so deeply. That's why they couldn't put the spikes on there, and I wasn't thinking about that earlier. I do wish they could have found a way to aesthetically make it work. Maybe they could have sunk in or something, but then the head would probably be in the way. So I understand why, and it does really fit in there nice and securely, and that was my problem with the Cyberverse one. the legs were so floppy and were such a mess, and trying to get them to spin and click into place where they're supposed to go, it was such a nightmare. But this one, it really, really works. This piece comes up, covers the head, clips in nicely here. Everything like this comes down, clips into the sides of the dino head neck, like right in here. Then it clips into the sides of the foot right here. Then it sandwiches down over top of pieces here on the chest plate. So that's really nice and secure. I mean, this guy feels solid. He's not going anywhere. Then you sandwich these together. The tail clicks together. This piece clicks in up here. So they did a really nice job of fixing this so that he is very, very solid in dyno mode. It's not a floppy mess. It's not too difficult to transform. They really did a nice job and, in my opinion, redeemed themselves, because that Cyberverse Deluxe was kind of rough. Now, the one thing I don't love, the head is very strange. So the bottom jaw can open, but you can kind of move this, but it's a little awkward. So you kind of find like where the teeth, match up, and then you can kind of open the jaw, and there is a little peg in there if you want to get a blast effect. You can kind of see it right there. But you can't like have the legs be like this and then have the head go down, because it just looks really strange. So he kind of has to face forward like this, kind of like a velociraptor. So I know that they've done research and they said that the T-Rex would run like this, and so okay, that's fine. But I do kind of wish you could do the kind of more traditional, like have him rear back. And you can, but he's always going to be looking straight up like that, because you really can't angle the head down. So that's my only complaint about the dyno mode. Otherwise, it looks fantastic. All this paint here on the sides. The dino eyes are painted great. The red up here, the black. Again, the spikes. I think the dyno mode looks great. The tiny little hands even have a little bit of paint. Now, they're completely stationary. There's no movement there. Really, the only movement in dyno mode is the same you would have in the shoulders and the elbows. And you can open the jaw. You just can't really open or move the rest of the head. So, again, it's a really cool little dyno mode. I like it a lot. I just wish you could kind of have the head angled down more. But you kind of just have to have him in this kind of straight line. Not a huge problem. You can store the gun. There is a little spot right here. So you can just go ahead and pop that onto his back. And if you want to store the guy's leg, you can just have him chomping on it. Maybe he got to him first. Grimlock took him out. He's just got this leg now. Oh, come on, it won't stay in. There we go. There we go. Grimlock got him. Took him out. I think Grimlock is pretty great. Honestly, it is a vast improvement over the Cyberverse Deluxe. I know a lot of people have been kind of comparing the Cyberverse Deluxes to the Earthspark Deluxes, because a lot of them have been similar. And I'll be honest, some of them I think are just straight up reuses. I think we've seen pictures of the Cyberverse Deluxe Starscream that's going to get repainted and released again. So there are ones that are straight up reuses. There have been warrior classes that have been straight up reuses or just slight repaints. So when I saw this was being released, I was kind of concerned that it was just going to be the Cyberverse Deluxe again, because that toy unfortunately was kind of a mess. But this one is a vast improvement. I think there's probably some molding being shared. Unfortunately, I don't have that other one handy to do a direct comparison. But I think a lot of this is new, and it feels like a somewhat different mold. Even though it does transform similarly, it feels very different. And I think it holds together much better in both robot mode and especially in T-Rex mode. So I like it a lot. If you were on the fence, if you thought to yourself, I had that Cyberverse Deluxe, I'm not putting myself through that again, I think this is kind of safe. I think this one is much better. I think it's a much more fun toy. The transformation back and forth is not anywhere near as bad of a headache as that Cyberverse Deluxe was. So if you got rid of that last one or you didn't buy it based on reviews, I think this is the one to go with. Looks great. Paint applications are good. Articulation's great. I like the accessory for the gun. I kind of wish he had a sword as well, but I understand they're doing the Build-A-Figure thing, and so that kind of took precedence. But yeah, he's a fun little guy. I like him a lot. He definitely looks good, getting that bruiser vibe, like the head sculpt. T-Rex mode, pretty good. Like I said, the only thing I wish is that you could tilt the head down to kind of put him in a more traditional T-Rex stance instead of the like constantly running forward stance. But very minor complaint. Definitely not a deal breaker by any means. So if you're in the market for a good deluxe that's not, well, I should say is on a budget or something like that, because you basically at this point have this or the Masterpiece Grimlock, which I know is very hard to find. I think this is a really fun little Grimlock toy, and I think he's definitely worth checking out. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.